Hey everyone, Ed with Up North with the Nyberg. Stick around for this video, especially if you're interested in buying a tractor of this size. This is a Kubota MX5400. I'm going to detail the price, not only for the tractor, but also the implements that we got as well. So stick around, you're going to want to see this video. All right, a quick note on these prices here. I actually have the invoice, what I paid for, not only the tractor, but the implements. But as I mentioned, this is a little over a year, so these prices are certainly higher now, probably upwards of 10% or so. So I really hope you don't take this information, run into your local dealership and say this is what, somebody up in northern lower Michigan paid. That is not the purpose for this video. The main purpose was when I was looking for a tractor, I could not find very reliable pricing for it. And so I thought making this video, even though the prices are probably old, that at least give you an idea of what your budget, especially for a new tractor. But also, I think it can help with, a used tractor as well, to kind of know and figure out what your budget's going to be, not only for the tractor itself, but also some of the implements that you may need around your property as well. So please, please don't take this into your local dealership and say that so-and-so paid this, can you match it, that kind of thing. Please don't do that, because prices, as we know, are up, and the delivery and transportation cost to your dealership is certainly different than where we're at here. So let's get into it. All right, so this particular model is the MX5400, and it's a hydrostatic transmission, and it is exactly what I wanted, and it's worked really, really well for that, especially for what I was looking for. The price that I paid, and this is pre-tax as well too, I'm not sure what your state tax is, but for the tractor itself was $25,319 is what I paid for just the tractor. And for the loader, and right now I have pallet forks on it now because I'm moving IBC containers down to my wood boiler, and so I've left those on. But for the loader itself, it's a 1065, LA 1065, and for the loader and the bucket, which is a 72-inch bucket, and that is L2296. I paid a total of $6,045 for that, for the combination of the loader and the 72-inch bucket. I also, and you can't see it here, and I'm certainly going to put some videos that you can actually see them in action, but I also wanted, I didn't want a cab, because I do a lot of work. We have 72 acres up here, and I do a lot of work in the woods, and I was always afraid that I was just going to break a glass or just worried about busting something in the woods. And so I elected, even up here in northern lower Michigan, I elected not to get the cab. The other reason I elected not to get the cab is the backhoe that I wanted wouldn't work with this particular model and the cab. I would have had gone up to the LX series, and I didn't want to do that. That was significantly more, and this backhoe was perfect for what I needed on our location up here, and that's the BH92. And it's the right size. It's the right size. It was what was recommended for this particular tractor. And so I researched the BH92, and I really liked it and thought it would be perfect. And after 1 year's use, it has been perfect. So for the BH92, and this, I'll give you the whole price. For the BH92, along with the subframe and the 18-inch bucket, was $10,720, and that was for the backhoe BH92, the subframe, and also the bucket, and that bucket is an 18-inch bucket. Now I also elected to get the hydraulic thumb on it because I researched the manuals and the hydraulic, and I just felt for what I was going to be doing around here, picking up logs in the wood yard and also pulling up brush and things of that nature, I wanted the hydraulic thumb, and I'm glad I did, but it's not cheap. It was $2,000 or $19.95, so that's a pretty big upgrade to get it. I think the manual works perfectly fine, but for what I wanted and lifting up the logs and not having to get off the tractor, I elected to go with the hydraulic thumb, and I really do like that. Now the other thing is, now we can get into a little bit about the implements. These tines or pallet forks were something that I got when I bought the tractor, and I was charged an $895 for these Land Pride pallet forks, and they've worked out really, really well. It has the quick release mechanism, so it's pretty easy with this loader to get this on and off. I've got my bucket sitting right in here, and I'm probably going to have to switch it off here pretty quick because I have some pretty good snowbanks that I need to push back. But right now, because I'm moving a lot of wood in the IBC containers, I've left the tines on. And once again, I paid $895 for those. I'm sure those have gone up because it's basically all metal. Anything metal has certainly gone up. Okay, when I first bought this, I got it with the loader, the backhoe, and the tines, and the quick hitch. I can't remember. Did I get it with the quick hitch? I may not have. I may have waited 6 months for that. But in the summer, after the first year that I got this, there was 3 implements that I really wanted. And I didn't get them. Actually, there was a waiting list to get them, and so I placed the order for them. The first one is a rotary cutter. We have, like I said, 72 acres up here, and a good portion of it is open pasture. And I wanted a pretty decent sized rotary cutter for that. And so what was recommended was the RCF 2772. And for that particular rotary cutter, and I bought this sight unseen. I didn't know how big it was going to be. I was actually kind of worried that it was going to be a little bit too small, but as it turns out, it's a monster. It's a beast. And for that, I paid $3,950 for it, and I'm glad I did because this thing has been able to really knock back a lot of brush and opening up some trails and things like that. So I took the recommendation of my salesperson, and I'm glad I did. The next thing was the quick hitch, and I ordered it, but I can't remember if I took delivery. I highly recommend that quick hitch, and it's the QH15, and that was $450, and I've used it a lot. Not only for the rotary cutter, but my wood chipper and the backhoe. Obviously, you gotta take that off, and that's a little tougher installation. But for other things, man, that quick hitch has been great. I highly recommend that. And then the other thing that I got, speaking of opening up trails, is a Boxblade. And I did some separate videos on all these things, and I'll link to them below and also up above here as well. But the Boxblade that I got is a BB 2584. So it's an 84-inch wide Boxblade. And that was $1,575. And I'm sure you can get all these. I got them all that were Land Pride. I'm sure you can get them secondary markets, used and things like that, and you certainly get them a lot cheaper. But I really wanted to stick with one brand, and I'd heard a lot of good things about Land Pride, and so that's why I chose to continue with not only everything that was recommended for the Kubota MX5400, but that particular brand obviously is Land Pride. And so I know others have a lot of differing opinions on whether you need to stick to one label or not, but I chose to do that, and so far it's worked out for me. So once again, that's the BB 2584, that's the Boxblade, and I paid $1,575. So let's see. Speaking of Land Pride, this catalog gets me in trouble. It's their catalog, their product guide. There's over 350 products for Land Pride that will work with, a majority of them will work with this tractor. And I probably should take this out and burn it, because this is going to get me in trouble. And there are a lot of things in here that I would like to have. So that's probably what I'll do. I'll just either burn it or somehow throw it in the trash. So now what I thought I would do is go through some of the pros and cons, and this specifically is going to be around the tractor itself. I'm gonna do some separate videos on the implements and some of the pros and cons. For this video, I just want to give you some idea of what I got and the prices and things like that. But after a year's use of this particular tractor, there are some pros and cons that I can discuss here real quick. I think what I'll do is go through the pros first. One of the very best things that I like about this is the hydrostatic transmission. It's really easy to operate. It reacts really quick with forward, backwards, and things of that nature. One of the problems I have, I've had both my hips replaced, so it can, if I'm not seated in the seat correctly, it can wear on my hip a little bit, and that gets uncomfortable. But all I have to do is sit up or move, and then it's fine. But I really like the response of that hydrostatic as well. The stability of this, we have a lot of hills around here, and this, the stability of it has been fantastic. Even with a fair amount of implements on the front and back, I've never felt like this was going to tip over or lose any stability with it at all. So that was one thing that definitely stood out for me. The wheelbase on it is just shy of 75 inches, which is pretty substantial. The other thing that I'll mention too, and this is a pro, but the local dealership can make or break the brand that you choose. People know that, not only from cars, but other big ticket items that they get. If you have a bad dealership, you're not going to be happy probably with the brand. Our local dealership here has been fantastic, and anytime I need anything or have any issues, or which I haven't, but they've been responsive with any of the questions and any concerns that I've had. So I highly recommend that you talk to people and find out where you want to purchase it, because with something like this, you're certainly going to be relying on your local dealership as well. The other thing is the power, of course. It's a MX5400, and this is 54 horsepower, and at the PTO, it's 46.5. And that's pretty substantial. You can operate quite a few heavy-duty implements with that amount of power at the PTO, so that's certainly a plus. And then the other thing that really surprised me on this was the turning radius on this thing. I've driven tractors over my life, some John Deeres when I worked for some summers doing some excavating, and I worked for a dairy farm growing up, and he let me drive his tractors all over, but boy, have they changed as far as the turning radius. This thing is unbelievable how tight that is, and so that's certainly a pro. Other than that, those are the only things that I've written down. I really like it. It's comfortable. The seat's comfortable. It drives really, really well, of course, with power steering, and all the controls are right there. Ergonomically, it's great. So so far, after a year, I really, really like that. In regards to some of the cons, and I only have a few here, but the first one is price. These things are pricey. There's no way to get around that. You know, if you're going to buy something new, it's pricey. And like I said, it's probably gone up probably 10% since I bought this. Maybe more. It might even be 15, 20%. You have to check your local dealership. But these are not inexpensive tools. And this certainly isn't as well. So I certainly put that as a con. The other thing is kind of minor. It's twofold. One is the gas tank is only 13.5 gallons, and it sits right up on top, which is kind of a pain to fill it up at the top there where it's located. But 13.5 gallons, if you're using this quite a bit and you're out in the woods and things like that, it lasts a while, but it should be bigger for this particular model, I think. The other thing, and I've mentioned this before, the other con is there's way too many implements. I cannot possibly get all those implements. So I put that as a con because there are just so many uses when you attach these implements on here that, you know, I could be running this every weekend. As you know or may not know, if you're new to the channel, Kathy and I, my wife, we both work. And so we only get an opportunity to utilize this mainly at nights and on the weekends to play around with it and do the work around our 72-acre homestead that we have up here in northern lower Michigan. So what's nice about it is I can get everything that I need to get done on the property with the tractor and the implements. Right now, I really don't need any implements, additional ones. The rotary cutter, the Boxblade, and of course the backhoe and things like that is perfect for me to maintain the property. But we have a wood boiler. We cut a lot of trees down, and we have to feed a pretty good sized wood boiler. So we're in the woods quite a bit. And so everything that I got at this point is perfect, and I don't think I need anything else. So that's essentially it. I didn't really come up with a whole lot of cons. I'm sure I'm going to run into some more as I get maybe my second and third year of using this. So I'll certainly update this video. All right, well, hopefully this video was helpful to you, especially if you're in the market for either a Kubota or this size tractor especially. If you do have any specific questions on this Kubota MX5400 or the 6000 or the LX or the BX series, certainly leave them below. I'll get to them. I usually get to them pretty quickly. So, and I'm interested to see if what your experience has been with this particular Kubota or the Kubota line as well. As always, if you're a subscriber, we really appreciate the support. It really helps the channel. I love interacting and answering your questions and comments as well. So please continue to do that. If you're thinking about becoming a subscriber, we live up here in northern lower Michigan. We've got 70 plus acres, and we do a lot of stuff outdoors, trying to be as self-sufficient as possible. Certainly the Kubota helps us do that. So if that interests you, be sure to subscribe. But until next week, actually I may jump on this and do a little work around the property and enjoy this beautiful balmy 25, 26 degrees. But until next week, this is Ed with Up North with the Nybergs, and I really appreciate you watching and sharing it with your family and friends. Thank you very much.